Hello and welcome everybody. We are back at the Moran Family Farm in Coorevan here in Borskane, North Tipperary, by popular demand. We done a video here on beef just before Christmas, and now we are here with Pádraig and Owen once again in the thick of the lambing season. Behind us here you have a number of ewes penned. I think we have 210 in total. Lads, we're going to hand it over to you to tell us maybe a bit of a rundown on the sheep enterprise here on the Moran Family Farm from here.
Okay. Well, I suppose the first part, the ewes come in for lambing in the middle of December because we lamb here from early January. So we really like to have them in a few weeks before lambing. So when they come in, they're put on a diet of silage plus concentrate feed from the very minute they come in. But the concentrate feed will be very high in protein.
Okay.
Because what we want to make sure is that we have a very good vitality in the lamb, but also plenty of colostrum in the ewe to be able to maintain that. So good soybean added to the ration to make sure that we have that, because the last thing you want to do is lamb and ewe have no milk, and
okay.
it really interferes with management so much. So once the ewe lambs, then she's moved from this shed out to individual lambing pens, so that the ewe is confined to her lambs and get adjusted and get used to one another.
Get used to motherhood.
Yeah, without a doubt, and it's really to create that bond that we want between the ewe and her lamb, and once that bond is created, it doesn't disappear.
Okay, and just to go back, we're here in the shed. There's 200 odd ewes here.
Yeah,
Pádraig.
there is, and I suppose the critical thing here is that we have enough of space for each ewe to be able to eat when we give it in and such, because the last thing we want to do is that with husbandry, that we don't end up with disease like twin lamb disease and stuff like that. So really we want to make sure that the ewe is getting adequate concentrate feed to be able to maintain herself and also keep our lambs going as well.
Okay, very good.
So as I said, once the lamb here, we move them out to the other shed where they have a bit more privacy to bond with one another, and then the following day we start putting them outside. If the weather is good, we'll leave them out, maybe bring them in for a night or two at most, and after that they're out constantly.
Okay, so we're looking in the month of, these ewes and lambs are hitting grass then end of January?
Yeah, certainly is. And what we've found over the last couple of years, the weather is probably better at that stage than it is in the month of March. Okay, it's more accommodating for the sheep. We have to make sure that we have plenty of grass built up over the winter, so when the ewe goes out she hits the grass, which is going to help her milk, but she'll also get concentrate feed outside.
And not to put it in you, but you talk about a grass reserve outside, like as we've seen from the previous videos we made here in the beef enterprise, there's multiple enterprises running here. How do you ensure that adequate build-up of grass?
Well, I suppose the important thing is that you make sure of a closing date.
Okay.
You know, it's very tempting when the ewes are outside and you see a nice field of grass, say go in there, but that grass is restricted for her when she goes out to lambing. That is critical. So, you know, you have to plan all year round as such. You know, there's no point going out in the spring and say, right, where's the grass? So you have to have the backup of grass there.
It's very meticulous and time.
Look at it, it takes, but it's just you have to be reserving yourself that you're actually going to close in October or September. You're going to close certain fields to have that ready for them. So when they hit the grass, then they will get concentrate. Like inside, the twins and the triplets at the minute will be up to a kilo meal a day. Okay,
and I see they're all separated here according.
Well, I suppose we scan them all, right? They usually scan 90 days after the rams go in. So we scan them all, so they're penned according to scanning rates, and they're fed and nutrition to get the proper nutrition to their scanning rates.
And again, I suppose, now we touched on in the beef, I suppose the importance of silage quality and testing out here. I'm sure the same stands for the sheep in terms of silage quality.
Without a doubt, Mark, because the ewe's diet, she's on grass for most of the year, and she comes in and it is a sudden change for her, so you have to give them the best quality silage we have, but from the day they come in they go on high concentrate as well, to be able to balance that, to get her adjusted, because she's coming in heavily pregnant, so we need to get that adjustment very fast. So it's like once they go out, they'll be still on a kilo a day, particularly the multiples, the twins. The singles will just go on grass only. If we have sufficient grass, that's all the single ewe will get is grass only. So then in this pen here you can see we have triplets So what we try to do then is foster on a triplet onto the singlets. So we use the singlets for that purpose as well.
It's very time-consuming practice.
It can be frustrating as well as time-consuming. What we try to do is that we have a triplet lambing here, we have a single getting ready to lamb, and once the triplet starts to lamb, we'll take the first lamb, take it down to the single, so get it onto her and then lamb her as well. So it's the best time to get fostering to work, we find on the farm, is that when both are giving birth together.
During this period, short period.
The mother's hormones is all over the place. She loves new babies, so it's the best time to actually do it.
Brilliant.
If it's the day later, we have to use the fostering crate, put the ewe and the lamb into it, and it's not as successful as. I think this is the best way of doing it.
Owen, just to carry on, I suppose, from where Pádraig was on the feeding of the ewe. Out here, lambs, ewes, you have to grass as soon as the lamb. We're talking early January, we're in the middle of it, the thick of it here. Talk us through just a little bit of the husbandry or the feeding regime from here on, from now.
Yeah, well, when the ewes and lambs go out to grass, the singles are left on their own, and the ones that are left with single lambs, they're left and they get no concentrate. They should have enough to keep their lambs going.
The mother should have enough milk.
Should have enough milk from just grass alone.
That's coming from the high protein concentrates?
Yeah,
okay.
From where they're started in the shed. So that's where the singles go. The twins and the triplets go out together then, and they will get about a kilo of meal for the ewes per head, per day, for the first couple of weeks. And then after about 3 to 4 weeks, we go out to creep feeders to try and get the lambs going on concentrate.
So when we say the 3 weeks, we're probably looking at the end of January, really, for early days of February.
Yeah, the end of January, early days of February. As well as that, with that amount of sheep, grass doesn't be long running out either, so we have to try and keep grass coming. So we try to take the pressure off the grass by introducing concentrates to the lambs. We found for the last couple of years we've been doing it, and it relieves the ewes, the pressure off the ewes as well, on their milk supply.
So they can creep feed to appetite?
They can creep feed to appetite. They normally don't be long getting going on it.
Okay.
It takes maybe a fortnight to build them up on meal. Then we do have to pull them back a small bit because we'll be heading for the end of February, early March. And grass will be coming anyway, so the grass takes over again for the lamb.
So I assume the lambs are thriving now at this stage. We're 6 weeks into their life. What is your cut-off point? What is your market for the early born spring lamb?
Well, sure, our aim here with the lambs is about 16 weeks.
Okay.
So when they're 16 weeks old, they're ready for slaughter.
From birth to slaughter?
From birth to slaughter.
Wow.
Would be our aim. Some would be shorter, some would be longer. It all depends on breeds.
And what live weights are we killing these lambs at the 16 weeks approximately?
When we'll be starting out with the earliest one, they'll be approximately 40 to 43 kilos, 44 kilos, so, and they kill about 50%. So we'll be aiming for about 21 kilos dead weight. That's the cut-off for the early lamb, so there's no point in going any higher either. So that's where we're aiming with the lambs.
Okay, so 16 weeks is seeing the majority of the lambs off farm at Coorevan. And what's the practice for the ewes then for the remaining season to bring us back here to January again?
Yeah, well, what we try and do is, as we're taking the lambs away, we'll be watching for the ewes that are missing their lambs. Okay. So we'll pull them and try and dry them off. And once we've been dried off, then they're put into groups, big groups. The ram is introduced in around the middle of August is when we'll be introducing the ram. It's probably a bit earlier. Every year we're trying to just pull the ewes that bit earlier. And
on a flock of 200 and over 200 sheep here, how many rams is necessary to?
We've 6 Charlie rams at the minute. It's just about enough for the early lambs. When we scanned the ewes this year, we ended up having about 1.75 is what they scanned, which would be very good for early lambs.
Yes.
We'd like to have it higher, but it's not possible for an early lamb. So it's not. The breed of the ewe, we buy in our replacements for the last good few years. We go to the show sale in Tullow. So it's a Tullow ewe is what we call them. As you can see in some of the pictures, the speckledy face is what we like. Yes. We just find they're the best mothers. and then we cross them with the Charlie ram, and we have good confirmation in the lambs and fast finishing lambs as well.
Very good, very good. So housing then, once the ewes are let off with the rams, they're left on grass, and housing then starts again here at Coorevan in the month of December?
The month of December, early December, as Pádraig said, we try and give them about a month before we start lambing to get concentrates built up and to get them just settled in more than anything.
Well, they look very settled here today anyway.
Yeah, they're happy outside there.
Very good. Okay, so Pádraig, we've spoken about all lambs are finished here on Coorevan farm with an average, I think Owen said, is 1.75 lambs per ewe. So there's a lot of lambs to go in a short space of time. I believe you also sell off farm here freezer ready lambs. Could you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, we do. It's a market that I suppose we've developed over a few years, and we have customers coming back. And I suppose firstly what we do, we pick off the lambs, and when we take them to slaughter, we get them slaughtered in the same slaughterhouse down in Johnstown, Tynans in Johnstown. So really, when the lamb comes back, it's ready to drop into your freezer. So we're finding customers coming back. Firstly, sometimes they come onto the farm to see the way we're producing lamb. And I suppose the lambs, in fairness, during the summer, and it's usually more autumn time that we do the freezer ready lamb, because what we find is that the lamb, they're after eating grass and clover, which is a good selling point for us as well, that they can see the lambs grazing outdoors. They just like the flavour and the texture, and they know where the food is coming from. And I suppose that's a big thing for us here at this farm, that we're trying to promote how we produce food and the way we do it, but also where it's coming from.
Fantastic.
So really that's what it is. So thankfully we do have customers coming back, and we're hoping maybe to build that business more. What we like about it is that you're going from farm to fork.
Absolutely, literally.
And in a sense we're trying to cut out the middleman a little bit and maybe gain a little bit of that money in between. Now we're not going to be millionaires out of it, but there's great satisfaction when you have people constantly coming back to every year on it. So hopefully we'll continue to do that as well.
Fantastic, fantastic. Well, folks, thank you very much once again for tuning in. Huge thanks to Pádraig and Owen to having us here on the Moran family farm yet again today in the peak of the Mayhem. So thanks again, and keep tuned for the next video to follow over the coming weeks.